All right,
Everyone.
got a new episode of Sports Harder live on this Friday evening. We are excited about having another episode again, and I think we got a lot of echo going on.
Yeah, we do. Sorry.
That's all good.
No, it's all good. I thought you was on my end.
Well, I had my Bluetooth set up, but it's like not actually picking it up. It powered off for some reason. Give me just a second here.
No worries. I don't think we can have a podcast without at least one thing going on.
Right? I don't know why it's not kicking over to my Bluetooth. This is terrible.
Horrible.
There we go.
Alrighty. Do you think we should start over? You want to just keep it rolling?
Let's just go.
Let's do it. Let's keep it rolling. All right. So, like I was saying, this is a new episode of Sports Harder. I am your host, Maddie Lukewarm Ice, and my technical difficulty problem co-host is Chris the Gorilla Binder.
What's up? Yeah, stupid technology.
So it's always great when it's working, terrible when it's not. So we're excited for a new episode tonight. We're going to be talking about NBA. There's been some NBA stuff going down, so that's going to be fun. The NBA draft happened. We're going to be talking about NFL, of course, our top 5, bottom 5. I think we got some new contenders in the MVP race, so that's going to be fun talking about that. And we have an exciting announcement for our 5 listeners that listen. We got a special guest. So for next Friday, Black Friday, our special guest speaker, or whatever you want to call it, is going to be coming on the show with us, is going to be the Guinness world record holder for the most Funko Pops. I need to make sure I pronounce his last name correctly because I don't want to get it wrong for that. But it is Paul Scardino. So Paul Scardino, he's got a YouTube. You can go look it up on his YouTube page. It's called The Pop Enthusiast. And he has some cool videos on there with him interviewing with a lot of people with Funko. With him being the Guinness World Record holder, Funko Pops kind of gives him the heads up of like new things coming out, and he gets to reveal them and do box openings and everything. So with him having that, he's a big sports fan. I invited him because I knew him before he became the Guinness World Record holder. So I invited him to come on the show, and he said that he's going to be a part of it. So we'll show some of our pops off, some of our sports ones that we have. I know you have some Raiders ones. Do you have any other sports ones other than Raiders ones, or that's about it?
Well, I could show off my wife's too because she's kind of into it too. She's got some Packers ones as well.
Nice. I mean, I got my Rams, of course. Everybody knows I'm a Rams fan, but I also am a huge fan of Michael Jordan, so I have a lot of the Michael Jordan pops as well. So, and I wanted to try to get into like getting all the NFL ones, but they just have so many. It's so hard to be able to collect all of those. But I'm gonna try to slowly but surely going forward, maybe build up that collection like a little bit more. So, yeah. So we'll have Paul on the podcast next week. He's going to join us on Skype as well to be able to, ask some questions, talk sports, show off some of his sports pops. I'm going to have you try to think of some good interview questions. I'm not really like good at that, so maybe pawn that on you and do that.
I'm down for that. Like that's I do that for my job. So being a supervisor at my company, like I've had to do interviews and stuff. So I'll just ask him, why do you want this job? Why do you think this company's a good fit? Totally kidding. No, I could throw together some questions. So
Awesome. Good. Well, I'm so excited. Well, before we get into NBA, we always start off with the segment "What's Going Down," which I wish I could do like a little press like a little button and play the "It's Going Down for Real" song, like "It's Going Down for Real," and then the trumpets. I wish I needed like a soundboard. I just be able to press all these buttons and then have like cool segues. But we'll talk about for what's going down, which was Thursday night football. The Cardinals versus the Seahawks. The Seahawks bounced back from losing against the Rams on Thursday night football, and they beat the Cardinals 28-21. So the Seahawks are now currently in first place in the division with having that win in the NFC West. They're 2-2 in the division. They lost against us and the Cardinals. Let's see. Yeah, so they're 7-3 right now. The Rams are 6-3, and the Cardinals are 6-4. So I know we were surprised because we both picked the Cardinals to win that game. So what was it you think that helped them bounce back? Was it Russell Wilson in taking care of the ball more, or was it the Cardinals' defense not ready? Like, what stood out to you with them being able to get that win?
I really hate to say it, but the bird game, the Zebras kind of stepped in a little too much, or not enough. Like towards the end of the game, Kyler Murray hit that pass to Larry Fitzgerald, like he was throwing at Larry Fitzgerald, and then he was throwing at one of his other receivers. I can't remember who it was. There was two passes, like basically right in a row. I think there was like one play between them. Both times, the Seahawks defender was draped all over the receiver. Before the ball even got there, they never called it. And honestly, it should have been a pass interference call in the end zone for both, which would have put them on the 1 yard line, which would have changed the whole outlook of that game. That game probably would have gone into overtime. But I fully expected it to go into overtime. And then when I saw that those weren't getting actually like, well, I got echo. Are you hearing the echo?
No, I'm good.
Okay, just me. But yeah, like it just kind of changed the whole theme of the game, and I think the refs have had too much influence really in games where they're not making calls or they're making crappy calls that completely changes the face of the game. Like last week, the Minka Fitzpatrick, or not Minka. Yeah, it was Minka Fitzpatrick. No, Marcus Peters.
Yeah.
That stupid interception.
Yeah.
That stupid interception into a fumble. Like, that was not an interception. So I think the refs are just kind of deciding games a little too much. I don't know. I really think it was pass interference on both of those plays, and that would have changed the whole outlook of the game. And it did because they didn't call it.
Yeah.
So
no.
I think the Seahawks got away with one.
I was gonna say because I mean the Seahawks defense has not been showing up this season, and I thought Kyler Murray was gonna be able to run like all over them. I'm trying to find the total rushing yards because I know I saw a stat on like online that said that they were only held to like a certain amount of rushing yards. I think it was only like 57 rushing yards or something like that. Yeah, 57. So it was 57 rushing yards total for the Arizona Cardinals, and usually Murray is over at least 80 yards, rushing,
Yeah.
So, Kyler Murray not being able to get things going, with his legs. Dunlap actually finally showing up. I think he got 2 sacks in the game for the Seahawks. So I think this is going to propel the Seahawks? No. I mean, I still think they're not as strong as what their record shows. when it comes to that. So it's I feel like the Cardinals are still kind of one of the top teams. We had talked about before the podcast started, that it still looks like there's going to be 3 teams out of that division that make the playoffs.
Yep.
So it's one of the toughest divisions in football. And like you said, no matter who's playing, if it's a divisional game, it's going to be close. It's going to be a hard fought, victory. So,
Why do you think the Patriots under Tom Brady struggled against the Dolphins so much?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, with that, with it being the Cardinals and with it being Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson, a lot of people after that Hail Mary from Kyler Murray, to DeAndre Hopkins in the win against the Bills on Sunday, that kind of threw Murray into the conversation for MVP. And, Russell's kind of been, going more towards, downwards. Um, he's set. I think they said Murray is set right now on pace to be the first player to throw for over 4,000 yards and rush for over 1,000. So he'd be the first player to do both of those things, I think is what they said. I don't think there's been any other player to do that. So he's on pace to do that. Now, I mean, Lamar Jackson won the MVPs, in my opinion, solely just because of how much he rushed. He broke Michael Vick's record. So if Kyler Murray technically does this, shouldn't he, be next for MVP with being able to not only pass but also rush for over 1,000 yards?
Yeah, he should definitely be in the talk, but he's still no Patrick Mahomes.
Don't say that too loudly. I don't want Melanie the Felony to hear that because then I'll never hear the end of it.
Right? Yeah, no, I hate saying it, but that trophy, we need to just change the name to the Pat Mahomes Award. Get rid of the MVP. Just Pat Mahomes Award because there's nobody like him in the league. So,
well, I mean, if you look at MVP, everyone is always like, what does it mean? Most valuable player. So is it the person that has the best stats, or is it the person who, if they weren't on that team would be garbage? Which which one? That's the biggest debate. So which one do you more towards, the person that has the best stats that year, or do you look more so, well, if this person wasn't on that team, like they would be garbage?
I think it's a combination because, I mean, if you look at a team like the Titans, Derrick Henry, that team's garbage without Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
But is he really worthy of MVP if he rushes for 1,200 yards? He leads the league in rushing yards, but is he really worthy for MVP?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those things where MVP is a more quarterback-driven award, anyways. Because they touch the ball the most, and they are blamed most if the team wins or loses. They're praised if they win. They're blamed if they lose. So,
except for in the case of Derek Carr, where he's blamed if they lose, and when they win, oh well, he didn't do good enough. He was on the back of somebody else. It's like, give the guy a break.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair enough with that. I look at the MVP as more an award of, if that person wasn't on that team, they wouldn't be able to do as well as they were doing. So you use the example of Derrick Henry. So let me use that as an example for you as well. So with Derrick Henry, you feel like the Titans made that deep run in the playoffs because of Derrick Henry, or was it for some other reason?
Absolutely, it was Derrick Henry.
There you go.
Derrick Henry was running all over everybody. He was averaging like 180 yards a game in the playoffs. He ran over everybody. Tannehill, he averaged more rushing yards than Tannehill averaged passing yards in the playoffs. Like, that's unheard of.
Yeah.
But it's just feed Derrick Henry and let him run everybody over.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, that symbolizes an MVP because they would not have made that deep run in the playoffs without him. Even though he's a running back, I mean, they would not have been able to make that deep run in the playoffs. I mean, they had the Chiefs, up against the wall there for a little bit, and then they just couldn't hold on to it. So, it's one of those things where, like I said, I look more towards that direction when it comes to like MVP. So, um, uh, it's hard to say with Mahomes because yeah, he's doing some unreal things, but he just has like so many like targets around him. I could see Kyler Murray or Aaron Rodgers being more of an MVP. Yes, both Aaron Rodgers and Murray have a number one receiver. Like Murray has DeAndre Hopkins, Aaron Rodgers has Devontae Adams. But like who else are they throwing to? They're not really throwing to anybody else. They don't have any other big names on their team. Mahomes has Kelsey and Hill and Watkins and the running backs. Like you can just keep on going and going and going. He has like all these weapons. I mean, if you look at Aaron Rodgers, Murray, they only have like one real weapon. So and kind of has to take things into his own hands and run the ball. Aaron Rodgers is not a young buck anymore like Murray is. So, he's not able to just take off and run for a 60-yard touchdown, so.
No, it's a valid argument, but except for the fact that Kyler Murray has more than just than DeAndre Hopkins, but Larry Fitz, he's getting old, but the dude's still a solid route runner, still fast. Christian Kirk is a blazer. Like that dude is so quick, and he catches everything that's thrown his way. So, and then you got, that's it. But I mean, the Ravens actually do have a pretty solid defense, like with Isaiah Simmons, Budda Baker, Pat Peterson. They actually have a solid secondary, so it makes it difficult for teams to be able to throw on them.
Yeah, it's very true. Well, all right, well, cool. We'll move on to talking about a little bit NBA before we get into like our top 5, bottom 5, and everything like that. I actually just got a news alert about the Jazz just now. It says Derek Favors signs a 3-year, $30 million deal with the Jazz with player option in third year. So Derek Favors staying with the Jazz for 3 more years with a $30 million deal.
Back to the Jazz. They traded him last season to the Pelicans.
Oh.
Like it was, well, it wasn't it was like the beginning of the season, like right before the season started. They traded him to the Pelicans. So he came back to the Jazz. Yeah. So, I mean, it works. That was part of the trade. It was like a 3-way trade to be able to get Mike Conley to the Jazz. So they had to trade Derek Favors. So now they've still got Mike Conley, but they get Favors back. That's awesome.
So basically, they didn't even have to bother trading him because they got him right back.
Yep.
Fair enough. Alrighty, well, cool. Some other news that has been going on in the NBA as well. Of course, Anthony Davis not taking his option for the Lakers because he wants like that big mega contract. I got tricked and fooled, unfortunately, with someone who had tweeted that Anthony Davis was planning on signing with the Chicago Bulls, and they had like the number, how much, and how many years, and everything, and it said per ESPN source. So I thought, oh, the people that I follow are all like the top people that actually are like credible. So I was like, oh my gosh, I was like so excited, and I thought it was real and everything. And then it was just Twitter showing me some random person that was I guess, getting a lot of comments and a lot of views about that tweet. It was just some guy making it up. So I looked like a fool getting all excited thinking Anthony Davis was going to sign with the Chicago Bulls. But
Still
now,
could happen. Still could happen.
Maybe. Right now, it's saying on ESPN, sources say that Anthony Davis to wait before committing to Los Angeles Lakers. So it seems like he's recommitting to playing with the Lakers.
No, he hasn't fully committed yet. He's waiting to see how much they offer because they still owe LeBron James a ton of money. And they lost Rajon Rondo. He went to the Hawks. Yeah, I don't really know what all they're doing, but anyway, LeBron James still has a massive contract with them and everything. So, and he's locked up through 2022.
Yeah.
So it makes it difficult for them to give him like the supermax contract that he wants. So he's probably like kind of weighing his options, seeing if other teams come forward with that supermax. Because I mean, now he's got his ring, he doesn't care. Now he wants his money.
Yeah, I mean, he got the easy win like he wanted. He wanted a title, and it didn't seem like it was very difficult for them to be able to do it. And so like you said, does he really have a lot to prove now? And he is from Chicago. He's a Chicago-born citizen. So there were talks of him wanting to play for his home team because he always wanted to when he was a kid. And so I just know with the Bulls and the players that they have, adding him makes them an instant playoff team, in my opinion. Especially
the scary thing is he's only 27.
Yeah.
Like, he's that dominant, and he's 27 years old. That's insane.
So some other things that had been going on. What's his name?
Draft.
What's up?
The draft.
No. So Klay Thompson for the Warriors during a workout basically has a season-ending injury again to his Achilles. I mean, he hasn't
other leg.
Yeah, he hasn't injured his Achilles before. This is a new injury, but he was just recovering from like a torn ACL on the other leg or something like that. So this is gonna be 2 straight years that he's not gonna play a single game. Like, that's just killing the Warriors. I mean, they had this dynasty going, and then Kevin Durant leaves. Klay Thompson gets hurt in the finals. Durant got hurt in the playoffs that same year. Like, things are just spiraling out of control for the Warriors after having that big run that they had, where it seemed like no one was going to beat them for a long time. Now, I mean, doesn't mean that they're going to have a bad season. No, but like that's one of your top players, and they're not playing, especially someone who can shoot the three as good as he can. That's it's just going to make it hard for them. And then one of your players that you liked from OKC, CP3, is now traded to the Phoenix Suns. So how do you feel about OKC basically trying to do a rebuild?
I'm okay with it. Honestly, when they brought CP3 in, when they traded off Russell Westbrook and brought in CP3, he said, trade me. I don't want to play. I don't want to play for Oklahoma City. I mean, he's a diva. I like CP3 as a player, but as a person, he's kind of a bitch. So I mean, he wanted out anyway, but when he couldn't get out, he still played. He's played with everything in him. He played with his heart, and that's why I have respect for him. He helped lead them to the playoffs. I honestly expected them, being the rebuild year and everything, that they weren't going to make the playoffs. I was like, I'm content with that because they'll start getting it built back up. But they traded him and one other player over to the Suns for 4 players and a draft pick. And one of those players is Ricky Rubio, who is almost as good of a point guard. He's not as good of a scorer as Chris Paul, but he's almost as good of a point guard. Like I saw him actually play with the Jazz a lot because living in Utah, that's the only thing we ever get is Jazz games. But I actually went to Jazz games and got to see Rubio played, and that guy plays with everything in him as well. And he is a fantastic point guard. He knows how to get people open. He's been good since he was on the Timberwolves. So seeing him come to OKC, yeah, that makes me happy. It sucks to lose CP3 because CP3 is one of the best point guards like ever, but he's also 38 years old, where Ricky Rubio's 31.
Yeah. It's just interesting to see him jumping around to so many teams now, both Rubio and CP3. They can't seem to stay on a team for longer than a year now. When it seemed like, they were going to try to keep, CP3 in like one team, give him that big deal and call it good. But now he's just bouncing all over the place. And it just seems odd for a good player. He's a good player, but he's just bouncing around all these teams.
Maybe he's a locker room cancer. It's possible.
Yeah. And then of course the people trying to make super teams. That's the new trend. Everyone wants to try to make a super team nowadays. So there are talks of James Harden, being traded to the Nets, where he would be reunited with Kevin Durant, and he hasn't played with what's his name?
Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, Kyrie Irving. He hasn't played with him, maybe in the USA team, but like he's never played on an actual team with him like he did with KD. So
part of that trade will actually be Kyrie Irving leaving if it happens.
Oh,
so
see that.
Yeah, no, there's actually a video that released of a workout that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving were doing. And Kevin Durant got really mad at Kyrie Irving for doing something and threw a basketball at his head. So they don't get along.
I thought that was the whole point, is because he wanted to go where Kyrie was going to go. Like, that was the whole...
and now they don't get along. It's really weird. But, I think that's probably what's going to happen if it does happen, is it'll be like James Harden for Kyrie Irving. It'll be a trade along those lines.
Well, I would think that they would need all three of them for the Nets to maybe do something. I don't know if just Harden and KD can help the Nets get to where they need to be. With
DeAndre Jordan and having DeAndre Jordan roam the middle with those three on the outside, that'd be a scary team. But it all comes down to if Kyrie and Kevin Durant can actually get along.
Well, that'll be interesting. Like I said, if all three of them end up staying, because Kyrie can get along or whatever, it just seems like another super team, and that's, I hate that the NBA doesn't have the wealth spread around better, when it comes to that. So that way, you don't have like one or two great teams and everyone just says, well, just wait until the playoffs, until this team plays this team, and in the finals, or in the conference championship, then it'll be exciting. Everyone thinks, well, the regular season is just doesn't matter, because it's going to be these two teams anyways. So
yeah,
it doesn't really make the regular season that exciting, until you get to the playoffs. But the NBA did have the NBA draft the other night.
Hold on, before you get to the draft, there was another trade that happened that actually is really good to talk about too. The Bucks it's funny because we were talking about the Bucks and needing to get Giannis some help. Well, they actually did it. They actually went out and did it. They got Drew Holiday from the Pelicans. The Pelicans traded off Drew Holiday to the Bucks. So now they have Chris Middleton, Giannis, and Drew Holiday. So they actually have a pretty solid team now.
Well, like you said, I mean, they needed to do something because, I mean, the poor guy was just, carrying the team on his back. And, they were so dominant during the regular season, and then the playoffs came and, I think they almost got swept by the Heat, right? I don't think they actually got swept.
The Heat lost one game to them. That was the only game that the Heat had lost up to that point.
Yeah.
Up to where they played in the finals.
Yeah, and so, I mean, hey, we'll see if that can actually get them over the hump and everyone can stay healthy. I mean, it'll be interesting to see when the NBA season actually starts, because if it starts when it normally starts, then it'll be the shortest off season that the NBA has ever had in their history.
Isn't it like next week?
Yeah, it'd be coming up soon. It's sometime in December. I know that. But I think what they should do, if I was the commissioner, is put off starting the season, but just make the regular season shorter. Because, like we just mentioned, no one cares about the regular season because, there's over 100 games or whatever. And it's like, you don't need that many to be able to determine who's going to, be in the playoffs and who isn't. You can tell who the top teams are after 40 or 50 games, so, be my suggestion is just start the season later, but then just make the regular season not as long. So, but going
at least give them a break so it alleviates some of the injuries,
Yeah, exactly. And college basketball is going to be starting here soon too, which I find very interesting that they're going to try to do a college basketball season, but
yeah, they're not learning from the college football season with how many games they've had to cancel,
Yeah, and so like I said, I don't see that going over very well or happening very well. So that's why with the NBA draft, I was surprised that they were able to. No one was really excited about the NBA draft because there was no college basketball, so they couldn't be like, oh yeah, this dude's really good or this dude's really good. You just had to look at the tape from a couple of years ago and be like, oh, okay, well, this guy might be good, because we looked at his tape from a couple of years ago. The number one pick ended up going to the Timberwolves, and it was Anthony Edwards from Georgia. He got the number one pick. And then a lot of people were saying that maybe LaMelo Ball would go number two, but the Warriors ended up going with Jameis Wiseman from Memphis. And then the number three pick finally went to LaMelo Ball to the Hornets. And I just think it's funny that both him and his brother are on two teams that no one ever watches. Like they don't have any TV time. Like you don't turn on TNT or ABC and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna watch a Hornets game today." They're not gonna show the Charlotte Hornets. And his brother is on the Pelicans, and the only time they show the Pelicans is to show Zion. They're not doing it to watch his brother. So I just think it's funny that their dad talks like so much crap and says how good his kids are, but neither of them are on good teams. I mean, at least he could have backed up that talk if, his brother would have stayed on the Lakers, because then he would have won a title with the Lakers. But
The other thing to look at on that is he brags. LeVar Ball is annoying as hell because all he does is talk and talk and talk. It's kind of hypocritical because that's what we're doing right now. But but no, if you look at it this way, I saw Stephen A. Smith actually said this, and it made sense. It was kind of funny to think about. So Michael Jordan drafted LaMelo Ball, the owner of the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah.
When Lonzo Ball was drafted by the Lakers, Magic Johnson was the GM. So, two of the greatest basketball players of all time are responsible for drafting the two Ball brothers in the top 5. So, I mean, it says something about them. They are talented kids. Being the future of the NBA? No, I don't think so. But, LaMelo Ball, I think LaMelo Ball is honestly a lot better than Lonzo is. Like, he's a more pure shooter. He's a more he's better at creating plays. He's taller. He's faster. So I mean, he could be the future of the NBA. But honestly, seeing a Ball as the future of the NBA, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. They're going to wash out like their dad did.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of, I don't know how high of a ceiling, LaMelo Ball has. I was kind of hoping the Chicago Bulls would take him just to, I don't know, because he'd have more publicity that way. I mean, the Chicago Bulls are still more of a, I don't know, well-known team or more of a team that you would see on TV than the Hornets. So, but the number 4 pick ended up being the Chicago Bulls, and they picked Patrick Williams from Florida State. So it's
Williams was a good pick though. Patrick Williams was a good pick.
Yeah, and that's why I said, if Anthony Davis comes, we got some good young players that he could play with, and they could maybe, mold under him and make a good run, having Levine and stuff like that, Zach Levine. So, but I thought it was funny when it got all the way down to the number 8 pick, the Knicks took Obi Toppin from Dayton. And I guess he was one that a lot of people said might be, a top pick. I mean, obviously it's top 10, but in the NBA, if you're not top 3, you're not really a top pick, in my opinion. But
yeah,
he got picked at number 8. And you were talking about Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith got on Twitter after the Knicks made that pick because he's a huge Knicks fan. And he was like, why would you do that? How many power forwards do you need? He was like, get a guard. Get a guard. Like, he was so mad they picked him. And I was just like, oh, that's the classic. Just like, he took his like analyst hat off and put his fan hat on. It was just like raging out. He was so mad. I just thought it was funny. I was like, well, if he can do that, then I can do that. I don't have to keep my cool whenever my team does something dumb.
Yeah, first and foremost, man, we're fans. Like, that's kind of what got us into like looking at stuff like this and analyzing games and analyzing teams. We're fans first and foremost.
Yeah, exactly. So it's funny trying to stay unbiased with some stuff. And you can ask Melanie the Felony when I thought that Anthony Davis was getting signed by the Bulls. Like, I was losing my mind. I was like so excited and so happy. And when I told her, oh yeah, it wasn't real, it was fake, and she was just like, she just looked at me. She was like, oh, you were so happy. I was just like, yeah, no. I was ecstatic. Like, I was really excited about it. The Bulls were finally going to be on the map again, but it's all right.
My wife would have been like, well, sucks to suck.
I was like planning on buying his jersey and everything. I was like, man, I'm going to get online. I'm going to buy this jersey. Like, it's going to be awesome. And then nope. Dreams crushed. Just a one fail swoop. So, let's see. Was there anything else that we needed to cover for the NBA when it comes to like the moves that people have been trying to do in the off season right now?
Not that I know of.
looks
I
like
just think the Drew Holiday signing was a really good one by the Bucks. That was really, really good.
yeah. A lot of people are leaving the Lakers, it seems like, because you said
Rajon Rondo.
Rondo left. I just got a here that said that Dwight Howard's leaving.
Yep.
He's going to the 76ers. So yeah, that just seems like a lot of people are leaving LA now that they've gotten that title. But yeah, I think that's about it. I thought I saw something about the Raptors are going to be playing in Florida this year instead of Toronto. So I don't know all the details about that, but I'm assuming it's just stuff to do with COVID. So
Most likely.
So, all right, well, cool. Well, we can move on then to the NFL and what's been going on with that. So it's been interesting, especially with this past week with the games that had happened. Are there a couple of games that kind of stood out to you that you want to talk about before we get into our top five, bottom five?
There was one. Give me a second. That kind of threw me for a loop. I was like, how the hell did they win that game? Where is it? Oh, the Patriots Ravens. Like,
yeah.
How in the world did the Patriots win that game? Like, that should not have happened. Like in any universe. Like, that's just they shut the Ravens down. Like they shut Lamar Jackson down and did not expect that at all. Like that game threw me for a loop. I was like, oh, this is going to be a blowout. Next thing I know, they're winning. I'm like, what just happened? Am I alive? Like,
I think a lot of that had to do with the rain, though. And then once you limit Lamar on what he can do, if you limit him just to running and you can stop that, I think it kind of puts a handicap on the Ravens, because he's not the best passer to begin with. And then the ball is all wet and the receivers can't catch anything because of all the rain. I think it kind of just put him at a disadvantage from the beginning.
Yeah. And then the other game that stood out to me, honestly, was the Packers and Jaguars. Like, the Jaguars kept that game way closer than that should have ever been.
Yeah.
Like, that was actually a nervous game for any Packers fan because they're about to lose to one of the worst teams in the NFL. Like, I mean, they pulled it out, of course. They still came back and handled business, but like that Jake Luton for the Jaguars, that rookie, people don't know what to think of him. Like he's actually stepping up and he's doing really good in place of Gardner Minshew. I think he's better than Gardner Minshew. I think Minshew Magic was just a fluke.
Yeah, I mean, I still think the Jaguars are probably going to try to go for a top. Whoa, cat-like reflexes.
Saw that, huh?
Yeah, that was good. Just got that real quick. Yeah, I still think the Jaguars are probably going to try to go for a top quarterback pick, though. Like Justin Fields from Ohio State or Trevor Lawrence. So,
yeah.
One of the games that stood out to me, of course, was the Saints 49ers game because, Drew Brees goes down, which we can talk about that a little bit. So Drew Brees with a couple broke ribs and a collapsed lung or a punctured lung or something like that.
Collapsed lung, yeah.
So he's going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks, maybe longer. And so in that game, and I even messaged you, I don't know if you remember or not, I was like, why is Jameis Winston in? Put in Hill. Like, put in Taysom Hill. Like, Taysom Hill got re-signed because he was supposed to be the future after Drew Brees leaves. They were going to, have him take the reins over. So I had no idea why Jameis Winston was in there because, in my opinion, I'm sorry. I mean, Jameis Winston could be a great person, but he does not seem like a good quarterback at all. Like, he throws way too many interceptions. And then I looked today, and the Saints announced that Taysom Hill is going to be the starter this Sunday instead of, Jameis Winston. And I was like, why didn't they do that during the 49ers game? Like, that just made no sense to me. So we'll see.
It's probably because they had the game plan laid out, not as Taysom Hill being the quarterback, but as him being the Swiss Army knife that he is. We're going to play you at running back. We're going to play you at tight end. We're going to play you at wide receiver. You're going to kick return. Occasionally you'll play quarterback. They had him as a Swiss Army knife, so they probably came into the 49ers game with that game plan. And if they put him strictly at quarterback, that ruins that game plan.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my thought process with it. Like, I agree with you. Like, I think Taysom Hill's a way better quarterback than Jameis Winston is. I even thought that in college. And Taysom Hill came from BYU. He didn't come from a huge school, but I think Taysom Hill is a much better quarterback than Jameis Winston. I couldn't understand for the life of me why the Saints even signed Winston. Like, he's a terrible quarterback. Like, he's the first quarterback in history to throw 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions, but while throwing 5,000 yards. Like, it just doesn't happen. It's never happened in the history of the game. Yeah. And this guy goes and does it, and then he gets cut by his team for Tom Brady, and then signs as a third string for the Saints. Like, and he was what? He was a number one pick.
Yeah. Yep, he was the number one pick, and then Mariota was number 2, and neither of them are starting for a team now.
No, they're both third stringers.
Yep. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how Taysom Hill does this Sunday with an actual full game, starting, game plan fully around him. Could it look like a Cam Newton type, where they're still going to do, like, the option, like run option and have him run it? Or are they going to be like, okay, show that you can pass, let's pass the ball. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of game plan they go in to the game that they'll be playing, because they're playing a division game and they're going against the Falcons. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle that, because Teddy Bridgewater did a great job of taking over for Breeze when he was out last year. But they don't have Teddy Bridgewater anymore. He's with the Panthers. So,
and he's injured too.
What's up?
And he's injured too.
Yeah, but I think they said he was okay to play, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he just got a banged up knee. He didn't actually break anything or tear anything. They did an MRI just to make sure, but
and so the other game that I'll mention before we get into our top 5, bottom 5 is the Texans and the Browns, man. You don't see very many 10-7 games. And I think it was Nick Chubb towards the end had a chance to run it in for like a 40-yard touchdown, and instead of taking it into the end zone, he just like stopped and like went out of bounds, and then they just like took a couple knees and called the game. So he had a chance to go in and make the score a lot higher, but he decided to just end the game instead of going into the end zone. I just think it's funny that it took that long for them to be able to score, though. To go a whole game and only get a touchdown and a field goal, and the Texans could only muster up one touchdown. Like, the NFL is a scoring league now. That's what they wanted. They wanted that because they wanted fans to be entertained, and they wanted big points up on the scoreboard. The NFL is more geared towards scoring now, and they only score 10-7. It just baffles me. And
that was actually
for a playoff run.
Yep.
They ain't gonna win the division like you said, but I mean they're still in the picture.
Oh no. No, but they'll beat the Ravens out.
Oh.
The Ravens aren't going to win the division either.
Yeah.
I think that division's pretty much already decided now.
It seems like it. Yeah. It's like they, especially depending on their remaining schedule as well, when it comes to that. So let's get into our top 5, bottom 5 in the NFL. One of my favorite segments that we do on this podcast. It's a lot of fun. It'll be interesting to see kind of what gets shooken up and what doesn't. I think I have a feeling our bottom 5 is going to kind of stay the same. Do you want me to start or do you want to start?
I can start.
Alrighty, let's hear it.
All right. So at number 5, I have the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, we all know why. Even with Big Red coming back, they're garbage. Sorry, Brian. At number 4, I've got the Jaguars. Yeah, they showed a little promise. They were like high up for me. But then they actually showed
last week.
Yeah, but the way they played against Green Bay, that kind of like showed me a little promise with them. So I had to move them up a little bit. I mean, they're still like the second worst record in the league, but they showed that they can actually play as a team and they can compete. Yeah, they lost, but they lost barely to a top 5 team. At number 3, this one was hard because I think the Cowboys really are the only NFC team that I have. At number 3, I've got the Bengals. At number 2 is the Chargers.
Oh wow!
Just because, well, I hate them and they can't finish games. They've had a chance to win almost every one of their games, and they just can't finish. They can score if they want, but if they can't finish a game, they're never going to get anywhere. Yeah. And then number 1, still the same, Jets. That's never going to change this. They're going to be number 1 worst team this entire season because I think they're going to go 0-16 at this point.
Yeah, the number 1 team isn't really hard for us to determine from now on. I think, like you said, we can almost call it for the rest of the season what it's going to be, for sure. Alrighty, awesome. Well, I'm definitely going to agree with some of that. Let's see, the number 5 team, I'm going to go with the Bengals. Yeah, unfortunately, Burrow looks pretty good, but the rest of the team does not. And I kind of said that at the beginning of the season when they drafted him. I said, "Oh, that's great, but who's he going to throw to?" And who's going to protect him? And obviously, he has not been protected. That defense is garbage as well.
Yeah, and they traded. I just have to throw this in there. They were not playing Carlos Dunlap. Like, he was getting about 5 to 10 snaps a game. That's it. So he asked to be traded. He gets traded to Seattle and just walks in, starts, tears things up. Like, why were they not starting him?
I mean, they could be trying to continue to get those top picks, just so they can continue rebuilding. And that maybe is something that he didn't want to be a part of, why did a lot of Jets players want to be traded?
Because they knew they were on a crappy team. They're on the team that's infamous for the butt fumble.
Well, I mean, and everyone knew they were tanking on purpose. I mean, Jamal Adams wanted to leave. A lot of people wanted to leave. A lot of people wanted to leave the Dolphins because of that last year, because everyone knew that the Dolphins were tanking on purpose. So if you start tanking, there's not a lot of players that want to stay on your team. They're okay with being traded or leaving. So, but yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bengals, number 5. Number 4, I'm gonna go with the Washington football team. I think they are, still down there. Third string quarterback. It's hard to win games with the third string quarterback, whether you're Alex Smith or not. So, let's see, then number 3, I would say the Dallas Cowboys. Again, playing with third string quarterback, at least most of the time. Like you said, I think Andy Dalton's coming back, but they were playing with third string quarterback for most games. You're not going to win very many games. Number 2, I'm doing this mostly based on record, but I'm going to stick with the Jaguars like I had them last week. And then, of course, no surprise, number 1, the Jets. Jets, 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 SUCK, sucks, sucks, sucks. So, but yeah. So, but let's go on to the top 5, which has been kind of fluctuating, going back and forth here a lot lately. Since you started off with the bottom 5, I'll start with the top 5. I was kind of disappointed. I was hoping that the Cardinals would beat the Seahawks, and then I was going to put them in at number 5. But now with them losing to the Seahawks, I'm not as confident at putting them at number 5. I'm gonna put I'm gonna put the Saints in at number 5. I mean, yeah, they did lose Drew Brees, but I think they can weather the storm while he's gone, and then he'll be able to come back and still continue, doing what he needs to do. The defense, like we talked about last week, is definitely stepping up for sure when it comes to that. And number 4 might be a little surprising, but I think I'm gonna put the Colts in there. That defense. Don't give me
What?
that. Don't give me that.
What?
I'll do that for your top 5 when you do yours.
What?
The Colts, have been stepping up with their defense. They have the top 2 defense in almost every category, and the run game has been doing pretty well. So, I think they can make some noise with that. Number 3, I'm gonna put the Packers. Obviously with their record and how well that they've been playing. Aaron Rodgers, again, doesn't have much to work with other than Devontae Adams, but he's doing what he needs to do. And, Aaron Rodgers is still one of the top candidates for MVP, I think. And again, as always, I know everyone's going to get mad at me, but Steelers are number 2 at 9-0. Defense is still showing up. They haven't played that great of teams. They're probably going to go 10-0 this weekend because they're playing the freaking Jaguars. So, I mean, I still feel they're going to be undefeated after this weekend. But, again, I feel like if they played the Kansas City Chiefs, who's my number 1 team, they would lose. I don't think that they would be able to beat the Chiefs, even with them having, an undefeated record so far. So yeah, Kansas City Chiefs still my number 1 team for the second week in a row.
Fair enough. All right. For me, number 5, I kind of agree with you on that one. I was actually leaning towards the Saints. It makes it tough losing Drew Brees, but Taysom Hill's been there long enough. He's kind of shadowed under Drew Brees, and he's, like I said earlier, he's more of a Swiss Army knife. So he can do a lot more stuff than Drew Brees can. They can jump in the read option, they can jump in the actual option play. There's a lot more things they can do with Taysom Hill than they could with Drew Brees. Drew Brees is probably the greatest arm to ever play the game, because the dude is accurate, he throws all over the field. He has the most yards in NFL history, and right now Brady and him are going back and forth for most touchdowns in NFL history. But yeah, number 5 has got to be the Saints, even without Drew Brees. Number 4, this one I kind of struggled with a little bit. You made a good argument for the Colts, but I hate Phillip Rivers, so I could never, unless they were undefeated, I couldn't put him there. I'm I'm gonna say even though they lost, I'm putting the Cardinals at number 4. I think that game. I think that game was a fluke. I think they honestly got robbed of that game with the Seahawks, and they should have won. And Kyler Murray hitting that DeAndre Hopkins with half a yard of separation. That's what it was. It was 0.54 yards of separation. Half a yard of separation. And DeAndre Hopkins being able to jump up and grab that. The thing to look at, Larry Fitzgerald is getting old. He's like 35. He's really not that old. He's old for a receiver, but he's not that old. DeAndre Hopkins just hit against the Seahawks. He was the first or the youngest player to ever have 700 receptions. He's 28 years old. I seriously thought DeAndre Hopkins was like 30, 31. I didn't realize he just barely turned 28 like 2 months ago. Like having him with Kyler Murray, like that's going to be a force for years.
Yeah,
it really is. So, and I really think just they proved their grit against the Bills. Like I kind of had the Bills at number 4 until the Cardinals stepped up and did that, and then I have to put them at number 4, even though they lost to the Seahawks. I feel like they got robbed of that game. And sorry to all my friends that are Seahawks fans. Like you guys all know. You guys all know that was a joke of a game. At number 3, yeah, I have to put the Packers at number 3. Even though they barely snuck by the Jaguars, they're still Aaron Rodgers. He's still a front runner for the MVP. I'd say he's a solid second place right now for MVP. Has been for most of the year, but the first place has always switched. He's just never jumped into that first place spot. At first it was Russell Wilson, now it's Pat Mahomes, and Kyler Murray's up there now too. And there's a lot of people being talked about, but Rodgers has always been that solid number 2. He's poop. My wife's in the background. That's not funny. But no, with Aaron Rodgers behind center, there's no question there. They're always going to be a top team. They're always going to be a playoff contender. Whether or not they can go deep in the playoffs is the question. Can they finish? I think with the 49ers being all banged up, and that was kind of their kryptonite last year, I think they have a better chance of making it to the Super Bowl this year. They do have a much better chance. I mean, the NFC West has some really strong teams, but none of them are as strong as the 49ers were last year. I know you hate hearing that because you're a Rams fan, but they're not as strong as the 49ers were last year. The 49ers were a force last year. They just ran into the brick wall that is the Chiefs. At number 2, I'm with you on that with the Steelers. Yeah, they're 9-0, but they can't beat the Chiefs. So number 1, Chiefs. And I hate saying it, being a Raiders fan. I hate it. I feel the vomit in the back of my throat when I say that, but I have to be real, as I have to take my fan cap off and put the analyst cap on,
Yep, exactly. Well,
so here, let me take that off really quick. Okay, Chiefs are number 1. Don't want to dirty the hat.
Love it. Hey, I mean, I would love to put my Rams in the top 5, just because I'm such a big Rams fan. But I can't do that. I got to be unbiased, and there's some things that I would think that would keep them out. Are they a playoff team? I think they're a playoff team. But we'll see when it comes to actually having to play against a legit team. We've had the Seahawks was a big game to me. I thought with the Rams beating the Seahawks, that kind of proved that we can beat a top team, a winning record team. So we'll see with the schedule coming up though, because we have a hard game coming up on Monday. So
I have a top 5 for you really quick. I want to hear your top 5 on this. top 5 quarterbacks in the league.
Top 5 quarterbacks.
Yep.
Oh my goodness! Wow. That one's
Throwing you on the spot there, Maddie.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the host. I'm supposed to put you on the spot, not the other way around. Just like
There it is.
But no, I like it. I like being put on the spot. It makes it fun. It's interesting discussion, a very, as they say, water cooler discussion because, I hear on Fox Sports Radio all the time when I listen to it when I go to work. The one guy that I listen to, he always asks his guests all the time, would you rather have Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson? And it's just like which one, because they're both young, so they have a lot of years ahead of them. So saying, who I think the top 5 quarterbacks are right now is very interesting. I guess I should start off with who I think is the best because that one's a little bit easier for me to pick right now. So, like you said, because the MVP conversation, I think Patrick Mahomes right now is the number 1 quarterback in the league. He's got everything that you need in a quarterback, and he's not one-sided. I think he's the best balanced quarterback right now in the NFL because he can pass it, the deep ball. He's a magician. He's got a little bit of everything from other quarterbacks. Because they say Russell Wilson is magician. He gets out of sacks. He never gets sacked. Patrick Mahomes, he's a magician. He can get out of sacks. He's an Aaron Rodgers where he can create plays out of nothing. He's a Lamar Jackson in the sense like he can run it if he needs to run it. He can throw the ball, down the field with a flick of his wrist. So I think he has everything that you need in a quarterback, which upsets me so much just because, any team could have gotten him in the draft. And the Chiefs were the only ones that recognized that, he was a diamond in the rough. So, definitely would put him number 1 overall as the best quarterback in the league right now. Number 2, man, that's so tough. Going in with all these quarterbacks that I'm looking at right now. I mean, I almost have to put Aaron Rodgers at number 2 just because he's in the MVP hunt as well, with everything going on. So that says enough with his resume as is. Number 3 and 4 are kind of like a toss up. I almost want to count it as a tie, because they're so close. But Josh Allen and Kyler Murray, I feel like they're neck and neck. I mean, the people who are listening right now can't see my hands, but I'm doing them right next to each other, my fingers, just because I feel like they could be swapped back and forth. Like you could put one at 3 and one at 4 and the other one at 4 and the other one at 3. So I feel like they kind of go back and forth with that. And then number 5, golly, Ned. I almost want to say Drew Brees because you can't get any better than Drew Brees. He's, Hall of Famer and he can make any throw that you want to make, and he's been doing it for so long. I know a lot of fans right now, especially where I live, is like, Lamar! And it's just like, I don't have faith in Lamar. I don't. I'm sorry. From day one, I always said that he's not someone I would put on my team as a franchise quarterback. So, more so I would probably say Drew Brees, Now, if I had to, real quick, to add in before you do your top 5, if I could throw someone in that looks like that has real promise right now, Tua. Tua from the Miami Dolphins looks like he has loads of promise. I know it's only a flash in the pan right now, but he's looking like it was a smart pick by the Dolphins to take him as of right now. I know everyone raved about Baker Mayfield when he played his first year. Everyone was like, "Oh, the Browns nailed it. he's such a great quarterback. He won Rookie of the Year, like, you know, but as we found out, you know, Baker isn't as good of a quarterback as everyone thought he was going to be. So I'm not, you know, declaring Tua as the next big thing, but right now he has promise. I'm just going to say that he looks very promising. So
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'm not doing a top 5. I just wanted to throw you on the spot.
oh, I appreciate that. Like, oh, hey, let's do that. You go first. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
No, I mean, I could throw mine out there. So I agree with you with the top 2. It's Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers.
I would love to have. Oh, lost my headphone again.
There we go. Yeah, my headphones. Perks of having a big head. Headphones don't like to stay in my ears because my ears are so big. Look like Dumbo. So yeah, number 1, number 2, it's definitely Patrick Mahomes. That guy can throw any throw on the field he can make. Like coaches tell you, you know, don't ever throw across your body and across the field. And he does it, and he's accurate. You know, and he does it not looking. Like he throws a better no-look pass than Chris Paul. It's crazy. So yeah, number 2, Aaron Rodgers. The guy is like, you can tell he's aging, but he's still not afraid to run out of the pocket. He can still throw a 60-yard dime, like in the air, 60 yards. And I mean, it just looks like a little flick off his wrist. Like he's still got the ball power behind it, you know? At his age, that's when Peyton Manning started throwing ducks. Like he wasn't throwing a good ball. He just had a good team around him. Number 3. Sorry, number 3. I'd have to put Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson's better than Kyler Murray. Honestly, like I would rather have Russell Wilson on my team than Kyler Murray. He's more of a leader. He's more accurate. He's more willing to take a hit and throw the ball rather than just try to run away from it because he knows he can get away from a sack. You know, he'll let a defender hit him and he gets out of it and extends the play. Number 4, I'd probably put Josh Allen. That dude, he's a giant and he's a magician. Like he's brought the Bills back from purgatory. The Bills were the bottom of the barrel, and now they're leading the division. Yeah, it helps that Tom Brady left, but you know, since he came in, they were nipping at the Patriots' heels last year, and now they're leading the division. You know, he's had some off games. He's had some growing pains and stuff. That's to be expected. It's like his second or third year. You know, it's going to happen, but he's definitely stepped up his game a lot. Number 5. This one's hard, man. Kirk Cousins? No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm actually gonna go on a limb here with the number 5 and say the number 5 best quarterback in the league is Jared Goff.
Oh,
like he's definitely had some growing pains and stuff, and he's made errors. But name a quarterback that hasn't.
Yeah.
You know, he came into the league, and I can't remember the coach's name, but the coach was a jackass, and he got fired that same year at the end of the year when he got drafted. Yeah, he was a very high draft pick, and Fisher refused to start him. And it made no sense. It was like, okay, why not put him in? Then they put him in, and he just shines. Like he tore it apart. He did amazing, and he's really learned a lot under Sean McVay. Like he's definitely he's come into his own. He's able to lead the team. The team trusts him. You can see that, Yeah, I mean, he's going to make mistakes. It happens. He doesn't really have the high level receivers that some of the other quarterbacks do. Like Cooper Kupp is good. Robert Woods is good. But Van Jefferson he's a rookie, but he's good. Tyler Higbee he's probably a top 5 tight end, but he doesn't have the weapons that other quarterbacks do, and he's still winning games. He's still stepping up. He's beating good teams like the Seahawks,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have to give it to Jared Goff. And then I'll throw my up-and-comer in there. I don't believe Tua is the up-and-comer. I believe the guy that surprised the holy living hell out of me, and I think he's going to be amazing in the future of the league, is Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say him because you've been singing his praises since he's been starting, so I kind of figured you would go down that route. That's why I wanted to pick someone different because, I mean, I figured you were going to go with Herbert, so I was like, well, I'll throw Tua out there just because, they just had their battle and Tua came out on top, and, it doesn't mean that Tua is a better quarterback just because his team won. I mean, the defense can always be crappy and the quarterback be good, but I don't know. I just see some good promise with him, going forward. But we'll see. I mean, especially if the Dolphins make the playoffs because they're on track to do that right now. Once they get into the playoffs, that's a whole different animal. You can ask Lamar Jackson because he does not know how to handle playoff pressure. That's for sure. And Lamar could be one of those quarterbacks that does well during the regular season and then just chokes in the playoffs. So
Tony Romo.
God, yeah, exactly.
He's the new Tony Romo. That's awesome.
Well, hopefully he never has to hold the ball for a field goal kick because they're going to be in trouble. Going to freak out. Alrighty, cool. Well, awesome. Well, I'm excited to talk about our favorite segments and everyone's favorite segment out there. And Melanie the Felony always loves when I get to this point because I get really loud and I do the picks of the week. Picks of the week. NFL picks of the week. Alrighty. So to update what was going on with the NFL picks of the week, someone had another rough week. No, I'm kidding. I mean, we didn't do that bad, but I got my lock and upset, which always helps me. So I am at 122 and a half and 40, and you are at 110 and a half and 49. So I'm up by a lot.
Only 12 points. If I go against every game and I pick everyone right, I catch up. It's not going to happen, but I can dream, okay?
Well, I mean, and we always try to do this thing for the playoffs where we do like, an outrageous amount of points for the playoffs or something like that, or like 4 points if you get it right or something. We always like to have fun and make it where, one or the other can catch up during the playoffs as well. So, that'll be fun once we get to that point. I should have done a pop bet with you for like whoever, got the most right at the end of the season had to buy another one a pop. We should have done that at like the beginning of the season.
Why don't we do it now? It's halfway through the season.
Hey, I mean, if you're that confident that you're going to make a comeback, I mean, you go right ahead.
I'll make that bet. I don't care. Worst thing that happens is I buy you a pop, and I'll make sure and buy you a Russell Wilson.
Appreciate it. Buy me a Tom Brady pop.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was saying that. But Melanie the Felony was yelling in the other room, not in our house. So I would.
Okay, then I'll buy you guys Patrick Mahomes since Since you're both so in love with him.
Well, one of us is in love with him, and it's not me. And yeah. It was funny. She was talking to her mom the other day, and she was like, "Do you know who Patrick Mahomes is?" And her mom was like, "No," because her mom doesn't watch sports. And she was like, "It's that guy that does those State Farm commercials. He like squirts all that ketchup like on the thing." And then her mom was like, "Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah, he's cute." I was just like, "Oh gosh."
He's got a high pitched voice though. That's the one thing that bugs me about him. Like the dude's like 6'3", 6'4", and he's got a higher pitched voice than my wife.
Well, it's like on Facebook they had that meme where it was just like him like holding the ring, like he had the ring on from the Super Bowl, and with like his jersey on and everything, but then it had like Kermit the Frog as his face, and then
Yes. Yes, that's what his voice reminds me of, is Kermit the Frog. Hey guys, how you doing today? I won a Super Bowl. Respect for the man because he's a great quarterback, but we can joke around about his voice.
Yeah, exactly. He has all that money. I can't even remember how big his deal was, but like he has more money than I would make in like 5 lifetimes. So
440 million over 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. So I can see why Melanie the Felony loves him so much. I would too with all that cash. I just hear Melanie the Felony in the other room. Wow. Oh man. All right. Well, let's get into our picks of the week. Our first matchup here is the 3-5-1 Eagles versus the 6-3 Browns. Interesting matchup with the Eagles losing to the Giants. Are the Giants gonna win this division? Like, like what is going on with the NFC East? Like, I really don't know. Like, I feel like almost like the Giants are gonna win the division. Like,
what's their division record?
who, the Giants?
Yeah.
They're 3-7.
No, the division record.
Oh, 1-4. No. Sorry. Their division record is 3-2.
Yeah. So they beat the Eagles and they beat the Washington football team twice, but they've lost to the Cowboys twice. Right?
Did they lose to the Cowboys twice?
No, because the Cowboys have only won one.
No, Cowboys have 2 wins. They're 2-7.
No, they have 1 win in the division though.
Oh, yeah. I don't know who it was that they had beaten then.
Maybe the Eagles actually beat the Giants once already, and then they lost to them.
Yeah, I just feel like the Giants are gonna win the division when it's really the Eagles should be winning it. But with this matchup with the Browns, I've got to go with the Browns on this one. NFC East is a dumpster fire. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Browns.
Yep, same. Like, yeah, I don't even want to talk about it. Browns. when it's that front that the Cleveland Browns are going to win a game, there's a problem in the NFL.
Alrighty, next matchup is the 3-6 Falcons versus the 7-2 Saints. The Saints going to be starting Taysom Hill, so you get to pick.
I'm going to put this as my upset.
Oh, no!
Like, I feel like I'm going to regret it. I feel like I might regret it, but at the same time, it's a division game, and Drew Brees isn't starting.
Yeah.
So it's a division game. The Falcons always give the Saints a hard time. I think the Falcons, like, they're starting to come into their own a little more now. They're starting to actually look like the Falcons that we all expected at the beginning of the season. So yeah, I'm upset with the Falcons.
Alrighty. All right, I like it. Well, going against you on this one, I'm going with the Saints. I think he'll be able to fill in very well. And, if we did top 5 running backs, like we did top 5 quarterbacks, Kamara would be like number 2 or number 3 for me. So, like, he's the best
If not number 1.
Huh?
If not number 1. Like,
I mean, I think Delvin Cook right now is number 1, but yeah, Kamara could easily be second or third. I would say probably second, just because he's such a good receiving back as well. So I think with having Kamara, the Saints will be all right. I think they'll take the win. The next matchup is the 2-6-1 Bengals versus the 2-7 Washington Football Team.
This is one of the games that we were talking about before we actually started recording. Why does this game exist? Somebody's got to win.
Somebody's going to come out with a win. I guess I get to start off with this one. Hey, I'll go with the Bengals. Why not? Like, Joe Burrow, maybe this will help boost his confidence up a little bit there, and him and Higgins have been having a good connection so far, so, I could see that working out against the Washington Football Team.
Yeah, and Tyler Boyd's been having a good season with them too. AJ Green, not so much, but I'm going to go against you on this one, though, because I think Terry McLaurin's going to tear it up. I think him and Alex Smith are starting to kind of connect a little bit, and Terry McLaurin, one of the fastest guys in the NFL, really unknown name until recently. Yeah, I think he's going to go off, and they're going to take this game over the Bengals.
Alrighty. Cool. Yeah, I mean, the Washington Football Team could have had a win against the Lions if the Lions kicker wasn't able to make a freaking 59-yard field goal.
Matt Prater, dude. Matt Prater holds the record. Like, he has the record for the longest field goal in NFL history.
Why? How long was it?
64 yards.
64. Dang. I think
Matt Prater, he kicked it when he was with the Broncos.
I think they last week not only did the Lions kicker kick a 59-yard field goal, but then there was another kicker that kicked like a 61-yard field goal. I can't remember what team it was for, but it was like the longest of the season. So
yeah, longest in history was tied with like 5 different kickers or 6 different kickers at 63 until Matt Prater kicked a 64-yard.
Gosh, that is crazy. Alrighty, cool. Well, the next matchup, speaking of the Lions, is the 4-5 Lions and the 3-7 Panthers. You get to start off.
I get to pick this one. I'm gonna go with the Panthers on this. Like, the Lions they've just gotten lucky. I think the Panthers are gonna step up and take the game.
Alrighty, I like it. I'm going with the my upset pick, the Carolina Panthers. They're gonna take this one from the Lions, since the Lions have a better winning record than the Panthers. But like you said, I think the Panthers will upset them and get that W.
Such a BS upset pick.
I didn't say that about your upset pick.
I know.
Gosh, man, throwing all
I'm
this
just like giving you a
tonight. Like, I don't know what it is.
I have to.
Putting me on the spot, making me pick top 5 quarterbacks, freaking getting on me about my top 5 picks for teams.
The Colts?
Colts in there, like you're getting on me about everything.
Who puts the Colts on?
Yes. All right.
And
Next match.
if like Randy Moss ever saw this, he'd be like, "Come on, man."
It'd circle a big highlight and be like, right there, man. Come on, man. Alrighty. The next matchup is the 9-0 Steelers versus the 1-8 Jaguars.
You're first.
Yeah, I get to start with this one. And I mean,
if this isn't your lock, I'm taking it as my lock. I'm telling you right now.
Bump, bump, bump. Going with the lock. Go with the Steelers. They will be 10-0. They will stay perfect because they're playing the Jaguars. There's not really much else to say about that.
The Steelers are going to cause a dead kitty. Yeah, like I already gave mine away when I said, if you don't take the lock, I am. So, yeah.
Alrighty. Next matchup, 6-3 Titans versus the 6-3 Ravens. Kind of a big game here to determine, division placement. I mean, they're not in the same division, but for their own divisions, it's kind of must wins. So yeah, you get to start off with this one.
The Titans have kind of fallen off the wayside the last few games. They lost to the Colts, a game that they were expected to win. Lamar Jackson just got beat down by the Patriots. Where is this game? Let me check.
It's in Baltimore.
It's in Baltimore? Okay. Yeah, I'm going the Ravens then. I'll go the Ravens. Lamar Jackson is money in Baltimore.
Alrighty. I mean, hey, I'll pick against you. Try to give you some hope in catching me. Go with the Titans. I'll help you out because I'm a nice guy. Unlike you.
Yeah.
All night.
Well, we're friends. What are we supposed to do?
Yeah, that is true. You're right.
Was this like is this podcast a Matt's right and don't debate?
What I'll say the same thing that I used to say to David: host, co-host, host, co-host. Remember your place and get fired. All right, the next matchup: the 4-5 Patriots versus the 2-7 Texans. I get to start with this one. Interestingly enough, the Patriots beating the Ravens, that was a big win for them to kind of try and stay in the playoff hunt as well. Because if the Patriots don't make the playoffs, I think this would be the first time in like 12 years that they haven't made it or something like that.
I think it's been longer than that.
Longer than that? Oh, gosh. The Texans are just so bad. I guess I'm going to go with the Patriots on this one. Only just because it's the Texans. The Patriots don't give me very much confidence, but I'm only doing it because the Texans are so bad.
My question is, what version of Cam Newton are we going to get this week?
Yeah.
Are we going to get superstar Superman Cam Newton? Or are we going to get, like, should have never been drafted Cam Newton? Like, it's difficult, man. Because the Patriots do not inspire confidence other than one fact: they are getting Stephon Gilmore back for this game. So he'll be back. He's hyped up the defense, that's his defense. He's proven that. So, yeah, I have to go with the Patriots as well. I'm done picking the Texans. They've disappointed me this season.
No more kiss of death for the Texans. So Next matchup, the 6-3 Dolphins versus the 3-6 Broncos. I think we know where you're going with this matchup.
Yeah, Dolphins. I accidentally picked the Broncos because I didn't think about it, and then I was like, "Oh crap! I picked the Broncos."
Hold on.
Oh no, man down!
Couldn't catch it.
Time.
Gotta get your hearing aid, old man. Put your hearing aid
Yeah.
back.
Hey, you know that's why you don't have phone sex, right? Because you'll get hearing aids.
Ah! It's such a dad joke.
It's a funny joke, though. Hey, you got to learn. Yeah. But yeah, Dolphins.
Yeah, going with the Dolphins as well. They're on a roll. They're on a hot streak. I think they're gonna make the playoffs. So rolling with them. Scintillating matchup of the 0-9 Jets versus the 2-7 Chargers. So
you pick first.
what's up?
You pick first.
Oh, I wonder who I'm gonna go with. The Chargers. Can't ever pick the Jets. Never ever.
So I'm gonna lock it in as the Chargers.
Oh wow. Okay.
A 2-7 team gets the lock.
I like
Throwing
it.
a 2-7 team on the lock. That's crazy.
2-7 team locking it in. Gosh, I'm surprised by that. But hey, I mean it is the Jets, so all right. This one should be actually a good matchup if you ask me. 7-2 Packers versus the 6-3 Colts. You get to start off with this one.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough fought game. Like you said, the Colts have top 2 defense in the league. But I still don't think they have the ability to stop Davante Adams and Aaron Jones. Not necessarily Aaron Rodgers. They're going to get to Aaron Rodgers. They're going to sack him a couple times just because he likes to extend plays. But Davante Adams and Aaron Jones have both been on an absolute tear this year. So I'm going with the Packers.
Awesome. All right. I like it. I'm going to go with the Packers as well. I mean, both of these teams were in my top 5, so it's kind of hard to pick, who I would go with. But I had the Packers ranked higher, so by that means I should pick the Packers. So, all right, the next matchup is the 2-7 Cowboys versus the 4-5 Vikings.
Oh, scintillating again.
Vikings have been looking a lot better lately. I do have to give them that. Especially with Delvin Cook. He kind of got shut down this past week, but once he gets going, he's gone. And the Cowboys' defense is very, very doo-doo. So, I mean, I got to go with the Vikings and have Delvin Cook is going to have a day. He's going to be cooking up a storm.
I'm going with the Vikings as well. Can't even, no.
I thought maybe
the Cowboys suck.
Instead of the Chargers.
No. Why would you not lock against the Jets?
Yeah, that's true. That is true. All right, and then the Sunday night football game is the 8-1 Chiefs versus the 6-3 Raiders. Another great matchup, especially since the one loss that the Chiefs have is from the Raiders, and so they kind of have that notch on them. Andy Reid doesn't really go to the mic very often to talk bad about other teams, but he actually did comment about the Raiders being in their bus after the game, driving around the stadium and doing a victory lap. And he was kind of upset by that. And I think Andy Reid's going to use that as fuel to fire up the Chiefs. But I'll let you pick. I think you go first for this one. So
Yeah, I go first. So he did come out and say that he was frustrated about the the doing the lap and everything, and then Travis Kelce came out, made some comments about it, but then Derek Carr, Max Crosby, Jonathan Abram all came out and they're like, we honest to God had no idea what was going on until it was happening. We weren't part of this. We didn't know what it was. So it just happened. It's not something that we planned. You know, if we upset you, we're sorry. Let's play the damn game. The Raiders, they came out firing, and they're on a 3-game win streak right now. You know, they've beat the Browns, they beat the Chargers, and they stomped the Broncos into the ground. Like, that wasn't even a question. The defense has finally stepped up and showed the potential that they actually have for the players that they have. And they had 5 turnovers against the Broncos. Like, they shut down Drew Lock 100%. It was amazing to watch. That being said, Drew Lock is no Pat Mahomes. The Broncos are no Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to come in pissed off, but overconfident, and that's going to cause the Raiders to fight hard. I think this is going to be probably one of the best games of the entire week. It's going to be one of the closest games of the entire week, and I think a field goal is going to honestly decide it, but I think the Raiders are going to take it.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you're looking to have the Chiefs get a second loss by the same team.
It'll be their only 2 losses.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. I'm gonna go against you on this one only because what I said at the beginning about trying to whether the Raiders meant to do it or not, it still is motivating the Chiefs, and that's what the Chiefs need is motivation. Like you said, they can't come in too overconfident. So I think they're gonna come in. Yeah, they're gonna be upset that they had lost to the Raiders last time, but I think it's going to be good motivation for them to be able to get a W, and they need it because they got to stay in the hunt for the number 1 seed in the AFC with the Steelers. So, and the Steelers are looking like they're still not going to lose. So, a must win for the Chiefs if they want to keep up with having a bye in the first matchup. So, alrighty. So the Monday night game is and that's the Sunday night. Sorry, I didn't even mention that's the Sunday night game is the Chiefs and Raiders. So I mean that's a primetime game. But the Monday night game, another primetime game, is going to be the 6-3 Rams versus the 7-3 Bucks. I get to start with this one first. This is the truest test for the Rams, I feel like, out of all the teams that they've played. Yes, the Seahawks was a test, but I think this is the biggest test out of all of them. Tom Brady's always kind of had the Rams number. I mean, he beat them in the Super Bowl, obviously. So more than once, unfortunately. But the Rams defense is coming into their own. Darius Williams was told, Jalen Ramsey said that you need to know Darius Williams' name. He needs to be more of a household name. I think he has like 5 interceptions right now. And he was like an undrafted free agent that was signed by the Ravens, then cut by the Ravens, and then the Rams picked him up. And he's kind of come out of nowhere. And if Jalen Ramsey is saying that you need to know who this guy is, then that's saying something. And like you said, Jared Goff kind of trying to if Jared Goff can stay upright, he's a decent enough quarterback to get it done. But if he has pressure or if he's getting sacked a lot, a lot could happen and it could go sour. Whitworth is out. Their best offensive lineman is out for a good amount of time. I can't go against my Rams because they need a win to stay in first place against the Seahawks. So if we can keep toe to toe with the Seahawks and then beat them again when we play them again, we could end up winning the division. So I think this is a must-win for the Rams. I feel like the defense will step up and show, hey, we mean business. So.
The Ram head takes out the Buccaneer. Yeah, Brady has had the Rams. He's had the Rams number in the past and everything. He does have a much better team now, but there's been a few games where the Bucs don't look like they're gelled well as a team at all. Like when they played the Saints, they looked like absolute trash. So, what Buccaneers team are you going to be facing? That's the hard part. But that being said, I still think that the Rams are going to step up and take this game. I think they're going to be able to beat them. And like you said, it's a must-win. It puts them in the front running for the division. It'll actually move them into first place in the division because they've beat the Seahawks. It'll bump the Seahawks down to number 2.
Yeah, exactly. So, here's hoping for that. If we were playing in LA, I'd feel a little bit more confident about it because we haven't lost in LA yet. But I feel like there's been a lot more road games for the Rams this year. I feel like the Rams have been on the road a lot, and we traveled a lot too. A lot of East Coast games, So I know they said a couple of the segments at the when they do the pre games, they talked about how often the Rams have flown back and forth. So it's I think that plays a big factor as well when it comes to having to travel and play in different time zones. So
yeah, I feel that pain. The Raiders had a home game in London and a home game in Mexico City last year. Cool.
Yeah, cool. Alrighty, so the last thing that we need to do then that will be coming up will of course be Thanksgiving. So we hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving and a safe one, especially with all the rules that have been coming down with COVID and everything like that. We just want everyone to stay safe and stay at home and enjoy the football games. We're gonna go ahead and pick the games for that. So the early game is the 2-7 Texans versus the 4-5 Lions. I picked the Rams first on this last pick, so you get to pick first this time.
I think this is a game where the Texans actually they pick it up. Lions it's a trap game for the Lions. Like they're kind of coming into their own, but I still don't think they're a team that's a playoff caliber team. Neither one of these teams really is. But I think the Texans actually step up, and I think they're going to take this game.
Oh wow! All right. Yeah, the Lions are not notorious for winning on Thanksgiving. They play every year, but it seems like most of the time they're losing. But I think that they will break that tradition and that curse, and I'm going to go with the Lions on this one. I'm going to go against you and try to build up an even bigger lead against you. It's like two little toys, like
For those listening, I have tags with the logos for every team.
So he was taking the Texans' horns and driving them into the Lions' body, like All right, so the 4:30 game is the 2-7 Washington football team versus the 2-7 Cowboys. Scintillating matchup to say in the least, but it is a Thanksgiving Day tradition game. They always play each other. Man, oh man. I know the Cowboys have always kind of had the Washington football team's number. I'll go with the Washington football team. Why not? Alex Smith is, pretty decent. Like you said, they got McLaren, so I know the Cowboys have a lot of weapons on offense, but I just don't think they can put it together very well.
Yeah, and you said you'd never pick the Cowboys again, so I'm going to be dumb. And I'm going to regret this, I think. Uh, dun 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 dun. Just kidding.
Oh,
Just kidding.
I thought you'd go with the Cowboys trying to make a comeback, try to catch up to me.
No, I think I've got enough picks against you. I think this is one that I would lose. So yeah, I'm going with Washington on that day. So
Fair enough. I like it. All right. Well, the Thursday night game, the 8:20 game, is the 6-3 Ravens versus the 9-0 Steelers.
my pick. Yay.
Yeah, your pick. Yeah.
Last time the Steelers beat the Ravens, but barely.
Yeah.
It was a close game. I think this time the Ravens finally get the one win over the Steelers and they end the Steelers streak. 10 straight wins.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. I was gonna pick the same thing. I think the Ravens are finally gonna get it done against them, and like we said, the Ravens need that type of win to be able to try to not only continue making the playoffs, but kind of to fend off the Browns, which is kind of funny to think that a team has to be wary of the Browns. So yeah, I think that's a must win for them, and so I think they'll be able to get it done. The Steelers kind of I think are going to feel a little bit more laxed about things, having a 10-0 record. They're going to kind of be like, well, it doesn't matter if we lose one or not. Teams aren't worried about going undefeated anymore. I don't think it's really as big of a deal for teams.
Yeah. I mean, it was cool to watch when the Patriots did it. It was pretty cool to watch. And then they lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl. That was amazing.
And then it made it even better when they lost in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Alrighty, awesome. Well, those are our NFL picks of the week. As we, get done with everything, the same old that you like to remind people. We'll throw that out there before we get to what I say about everything else.
Earl Thomas, still unsigned.
I love it.
I love joking about it, man, but it's starting to get to me. Like, why isn't he signed? Like, why has nobody picked this dude up? He's amazing. He is probably one of the best free safeties to ever play the game. He's up there with like Steve Atwater, Ed Reed, John Lynch. He's up there with them. Why hasn't he been picked up? Like the only explanation is he truly is a locker room cancer, and teams just don't want to deal with that drama.
It could be, or he's just too greedy and he wants too much money. I mean, that kind of prevented Colin Kaepernick from coming back and signing with teams because he kept on wanting starter money. He wanted to be the starter, and he couldn't accept being a backup. So, Earl Thomas could be asking for too much money as well. It could be a thing.
True.
But all right, well, as we want to remind you guys, next Friday we will have our special guest on here, Paul Scardino, the Guinness World Record holder for the biggest Funko Pop collection. He's going to talk pops with us. He's going to talk some sports with us. So we're excited to have him. We're going to have him at the beginning, so that way you guys can be able to see that and enjoy that at the very beginning. If you're one of our listeners who struggles making it all the way through, you don't have to worry. You can listen to him at the beginning before you fall asleep. But we appreciate all you guys that are listening, that are watching on YouTube. We, of course, catch us out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Sports Harder Podcast. Listen to us on audio on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcast, all the major podcast places. Check us out on social media with our Facebook page, Sports Harder Podcast, Instagram, sports_harder_podcast, Twitter at Sports Harder P, capital S, capital P. We love when you guys comment on Facebook and participate so we can give you guys shout outs and kind of discuss how you feel about certain topics and certain things. We want to try to get you guys involved as much as possible. Spread the word and tell family and friends about us. We need more listeners. We need more subscribers on YouTube. So any way that you can spread the word about us is always appreciated. Anything that you want to add there before we wrap up?
Nope, just want to wish all of our listeners and everybody out there happy Thanksgiving. I know you already said it, but enjoy time with family if you've got it, and just be safe and enjoy your turkey day.
Yep, definitely. Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays, so I'm excited. Some of my best memories is just eating food and watching football. I can't get any better than that. And being with family, like of course, just having that camaraderie and having people around. So, we appreciate everyone. We're grateful. And we will catch you guys next Friday, Black Friday, for the our special guest that we'll have on. So until then, we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Later.
Peace.